For our Module 1 Lesson 4 problem set, we have a few problems we're going to go over. And this is a critical lesson. I know all math lessons are important, but this is really important as the next step of our number sense. So what we have here is we have our place value chart, and we're going to take this number that you see up here and represent it in a few different ways. In our fluency today, we talked about the differences between unit and standard form. What you'll notice is we'll kind of consider this as unit form. When we record the numbers afterwards, that would be our standard form. So let's get started. It does not matter if you feel really comfortable with your place value, which way you start, but we're going to place this into our place value chart, this number 90,523. If I were to be honest, I still like always going from right to left. So starting with ones place, we would have the 3, 2 in the tens, 5 in the hundreds, 0 in the 1,000s, and 9 in the 10,000s. Now, what you'll see is I have this number, 90,523. Here it is listed as standard. In this case, if you wanted to read it as unit form, it would be 9 10,000s, 500s, 2 10s, 3 1s. That is the difference between standard and unit form. But there are also two other ways that we can record it: word and expanded form. And you should be familiar with these. I know word form's not always our favorite because it is a lot more work than the numbers. But if we take this number, we know that we start with 90,000. And when we start with word form, we must write it with a capital. So 90,000. And I'm going to come back to this spot in a moment. The next place value would be 500. And when we say this number, you'll notice that we often combine the tens and ones place. So instead of this being 2 10s, 3 1s, it would be 23. They're kind of linked and joined together. So we would write it as 23. And to show that they are connected, we're actually going to put a hyphen in between, okay? That when we say it, we almost say it jointly. The one important thing is we know that to separate our groupings of our hundreds, tens, and ones, we separate them with commas. So just like in the number form, in word form, we're going to put a comma between our thousands and our ones groupings. If we move into expanded form, all you're doing is kind of taking your unit form and writing every place value with an actual number, not 0, as it by itself. So in this case, this is 9 10,000s or 90,000s. I'm going to then add it to the next place value. Since there's a 0 here, we will not write 0 in the thousands place. In the hundreds place, we'll write 500 plus 20 plus 3. And I want to point that out. I know we had this connected here, and often by the time we get to the tens and the ones, we just want to write 23. It's very important to separate those, okay? So, as I mentioned, as we're doing word form, the first letter in the initial number is capitalized, the rest are lowercase. Anywhere there's a comma, you're going to include that comma down below, and a hyphen between the tens and the ones place. And I want to point out, it could be in the tens and the ones place in the initial digits. You would also include it in the thousands or possibly in the millions. Here we would do the same thing, take those very similar numbers. Instead, this would be 900,000, 5,000, 203, and you would record it in word and expanded form. And we're going to get a little more practice on the next page here. So on this next page, what you see is this beautiful chart of standard, word, and expanded form. And kind of like a puzzle, you only really need one to be able to solve the other two. So let's start with our easier ones. For instance, here, we are used to seeing it this way. We could then take this number, write it as word form, and then expanded form. I'll choose one of each type to represent. So if I were to say 2,000s, I know it's 2,000. Since I see that thousands, I see a comma, I'm going to put it right afterwards. 480. 480 is standard form. So now to take this into expanded form, I know 2,000 by itself with a comma plus the next place value, 400 plus 80. And in this case, I would not have to write 0 in the ones place. Okay? Looking at this expanded form, I know that this is 20,000, and then I have a comma, no other commas, 4 in the hundreds place, 8 in the tens place, 2 in the ones place. And going here, I would write with a capital 20,000, comma, 482. You'll notice I include a capital for the T, a comma after the thousands, and a hyphen between our tens and ones place. The last one, let's look at this standard form. So we know we have 604,000. I'm going to tell you what I like doing. I like taking this and putting it in an expanded form first. So 600,000 by itself, plus that 4,000 by itself. Now we're moving to the hundreds. There's a 0 there, so we move to the tens, plus the ones place, 6. So when I go about writing this, we would write capital S, 600, pause. I have another value in the thousands grouping. So before I write thousands, I'm going to write 4 thousands. I'm now done with this place value, moving on into the tens and ones. This would be 16. And in this case, we know that the T numbers, they are actually combined as one number, but usually our tens and ones would be a little different, okay? Over here, our black rhinos endangered. We had 4,400 left. Father read it as 4,400. Who read the number correctly? If you use a place value chart, it should be clear which one is correct. Lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to take this chart and we are going to fill out the exit ticket. So we have ones, tens, hundreds, comma, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, comma, 1 million. This time we have a 10 million. Okay, so we've labeled the units of the chart. Check. Write the numbers. This looks like expanded form for me. So 800,000s. Find the 100,000s place. I'm going to place the 8. 6,000s. There we go. 3 in the hundreds, 2 in the ones. Now, what I can do is I can place saver zeros in any place value of value. Since 8 is my largest number, I don't have to worry about these. But I'll put a 0 here and a 0 here, and I will place commas. I don't need one here, but I need one right here. Check. Now for word form. We know that I have to deal with the thousands place first. Capital E for 800, 6,000, comma, right? We did all the number, then the place value group. 302. In this case, it gives you word form and you would write in expanded form. Hopefully that is something you're able to do. It says 160, that means 6 in the tens place, 1,582. Hopefully this is becoming a little bit more familiar. I know this was a long video for you today, but this covers the main place values so that you can take any number and identify its standard, word, expanded, and our unit form.